Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how we cook shourba. Shourba is a soup um, usually made in North Africa, especially Algeria, and we cook it during Ramadan time. It's a kind of vegetable soup, sorry, very healthy, and we usually as well cook it during winter time because it comes warm. So the vegetable needed or the ingredient needed to make this shorba are an onion, a small potato, courgette. I will need as well tomato and coriander. So the first thing I will do is chop the vegetables very fine, and I can use either the knife. It has to be very fine, or I prefer to use the food processor. So what I'm going to do is put everything in the food processor and chop my vegetables. So usually we cook the shorba with lamb meat, but you can use any meat you have. I'm using today chicken, so small pieces of chicken is all right. So I'm going to chop the foods and we'll be right back. I'm going to chop as well the tomato. So for the tomato, you can either use chopped tomatoes you find in any store, Asda, Sainsbury's, Aldi, Lidl, Morrison's, anywhere, or you can use a fresh tomato. So what I do, I usually leave the tomato in warm water for 5 to 10 minutes. Then I can peel it easily. You can see here, so I can remove the shell very easily. So I'm going to continue doing that, chop the tomato, and we'll be right back. Just to not forget, the most important ingredient in this soup is the coriander. So I took fresh coriander and I chopped it as well very fine. You can add it to any of the other vegetables in the food processor and just cut it with it, because we are going to mix everything together. Now, after all the vegetables were chopped very fine, just to recall, I chopped here very fine one small onion, one just half or third of a courgette, and very small potato. And the potato as well actually is not necessary, it's optional, but I prefer to make it to add it. So I'm going to add my tomato, my chopped tomato. As I said earlier, you can just chop it in the food processor, or you can use the tomato in the box, the chopped tomato in the box. So I just mix everything together with, as a reminder, I added here chicken. I could have, the best thing to do is to add small pieces of lamb meat. What I'm going to add as well is chickpeas. So chickpeas, small part of chickpeas. Again, the chickpeas as well, you can use the chickpeas you find in any store, this one, or you can use the dry one. So for the dry one, I leave it in water overnight, and then in the morning I just wash it and I use part of it, small part of it, and divide the other part into and put it in small plastic bags, sorry, and leave it in the freezer. Whenever I want to use it, I just take it out from the freezer. So here, after mixing everything together, I'm going to add my coriander, and if you can smell the smell of the coriander is very fresh. And usually during Ramadan days in Algiers, especially in Algeria, North Africa, I don't know, they use other soups, but in Algiers especially, you just, whenever you pass by any house, you smell the smell of the coriander. So I'm going to add here a little bit of cayenne paprika. I'm going to add as well, so it's a red soup, so I'm going to add the chili powder. It depends on how you like it to be very hot, mild, or medium. I will add like normal paprika, and in anything I cook, usually I add just a hint of cinnamon. So I'm adding cinnamon, especially when I do white sauce. So white sauce usually is made with for Aza, for North African people, or maybe mainly Algerian one, black pepper, like this is what I'm adding here, and cinnamon and salt. So I like the taste of nutmeg, so I'm going to add a little bit of nutmeg, because it's a red sauce. For me, you can add any spices, spice reddish to brownish color, and I love the turmeric, so I'm going to add a little bit of turmeric. So salt, so the salt you can add and then test later when it's being cooked and add again. So again, I'll be mixing everything together. You see I haven't added any water to it yet or anything. I can now light the just start making cooking it. Starting cooking it, and I will add a little bit of olive oil or oil, simply. So I'm going to add another spoon of oil. Usually it's three soup spoon of olive oil, and I'm using these days like coconut oil. So in almost everything I'm cooking, I use just a bit of coconut oil, so it gave it a nice taste. So we'll start. I leave it for a few minutes without adding water, actually, and just stir it from time to time, just to see how it goes. Usually we use a wood spoon while cooking, and this kind of soup, especially during Ramadan, believe me that all housewives goes and buy like a pan made of clay, and they cook it actually within a clay pan. It gave it a special taste. So let's stir it and start cooking it, and we'll see what's going to do next. For the people who like it to be hot, or very hot, you can add this kind of pepper, red pepper, dry red pepper. You can find it in any store, Turkish store, Mexican store, anywhere. So but be careful, because it will make it very, very hot. So we can tolerate a little bit of hot food, so this is why I'm adding it here. After a few minutes of cooking, after let's say 10 minutes of cooking and stirring it from time to time, you can see here, you see that I have a liquid, like enough liquid just to prevent it from burning. So the liquid, actually I haven't added any water to it. It's the vegetables, the onion, which released their water. So now, you can see that everything turned brownish color. So I can add the water to it just to continue the cooking process. So usually I use warm water or hot water, just to not restart the process of cooking from scratch. So it's better while cooking to always use warm water. So warm it in the kettle and use it. So here is you can see that the color of my shourba is being red. Usually shourba is, you can say that it's vegetable soup, but is a tomato soup as well. So because we use a generous amount of tomato, I added here 4 tomatoes, and then I will later add as well puree tomato. So tomato puree to it. So I leave it continue cooking, or continue being cooked, and we'll be right back. So the shourba we're making today is called actually shourba means soup. So you can find shourba adis, which means shourba soup. You can, any soup, it's called shourba something. So this is called usually Chourba Frik, and the frik in Algerian means the cracked wheat. So I'm going later, like 30 minutes before ending the cooking of the shourba, I'm going to add this cracked wheat, or just few minutes later. But before, I have to fill it with water and leave it for a few minutes. You can as well add to it stocks, lamb, beef, or vegetable stock, and usually it depends on the person test, on the people test. So cooking is not an exact science. So it is a science, but you can add things and then you can remove things, as long as the things can come together and will not change the original taste of it. The one I'm showing you today is my mom shourba, the original one. In some places people add to it carrot, so I made courgette, but people add carrot. You can remove the courgette, etc. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, if you don't have the cracked wheat, you can use the vermicelli pasta. So vermicelli pasta is very fine pasta. So this kind of pasta, very fine, and you can find it in any store. So if you use the pasta, don't use 1 kilo of pasta within this volume of soup. So for this volume of soup, for example, I can use this kind of recipe to measure the vermicelli, the amount of vermicelli I'm going to add to my soup. I fill it to the top with my vermicelli. So today I'm going to use the frik, which is the original shourba soup, like Chourba Frik. You can see the cooking progress here, and it smells very, believe me, it smells very nice, very tasty, and we will see. We'll come back to you later. Well, before coming back later, it's time to add some tomato puree to it. I will add 2 spoons of tomato puree to it. You've seen that I didn't give the exact ingredient amount. Like I didn't say 20 milliliter, 500 grams, etc. So it depends on the volume you want of the mustard, or the size of your pan, or what do you have at home. So I used small onion, because I'm not going to fill this to the top. So I just this one could be for let's say 5 people. Small onion, small. So the size will the volume depend on the size of the vegetable you used and how many people you are at home. So cooking, you can add, remove, play on the side, on the on the ingredient, etc. So don't panic if you have something missing. Don't panic if you don't know the exact volume of the ingredient or you using. Okay, we'll be right back. So here I am again to check the cooking process or progress stages of the shourba, cooking of the shourba, of the soup. So usually, how do I know that it's been cooked or not? Everything was chopped very fine, so the cooking process won't take so long. And we have to check the meat or the chicken first, if it has been cooked or not. And the tip, the general tip for this kind of recipe, when we cook something with the chickpeas. So the chickpeas is the solid. It's very solid. So it's the hardest one compared to the other ingredients used. So what I'm going to do is take the chickpeas and try to chop it or between my fingers and see how easily it's being done. So I feel that it is almost done, so it needed maybe more 10 to 20 minutes to being cooked. So I'm going to add here my cracked wheat, which I washed and leaved into the water and filtered. And you see how the volume has expand. So usually this kind of materials, when you add them to water, they will expand. This is why I said be careful on the amount of vermicelli or cracked wheat you are going to use. So I use this amount of the cracked wheat, and it became this this amount. So I'm going to add all of it into the soup. So what I'm going to say, be careful when adding the cracked wheat. Don't leave it and go and watch TV and then come back again. It has to be stirred from time to time, because the wheat or the cracked wheat usually go and settle in the bottom. So, and then it can burn. So it can stick and burn, and we want to avoid that. It's not the aim of making the soup. So you have to come from time to time and stir it, and then you will see that the wheat itself, the cracked wheat itself, will change, continue to change volume, will be cooked. So I will give it 10 more minutes, and we'll come back to it again. So I will check again the cooking progress after almost 20 minutes of cooking and stirring from time to time. So again, as I showed you the tip on how to make sure that it's being cooked or not. So first of all, you can see that the grain of the cracked wheat changed size and became changed volume. So you can see. So this is this shows that actually it has been the wheat is cooked already. The cracked wheat is cooked. Let's try with the chickpeas. So I can. So it's hot, but I can. You see, I can easily just crush it or chop it between my fingers. So here I can see that my soup is done or almost done. You can see it boiling, and it smells very, very, very nice. So I'm going just to talk a little bit about the casserole I'm cooking in, or the couscousière. So it's usually cooked in couscousière, which comes like this. So, and usually in the past we used to put the tomato here, steam it, then chop it when it's being cooked. And now, just to make it quicker and easier, we just cut and chop all the vegetables together and put them together. And actually this shourba, this dish, it was the first dish I cooked when I was 10, and I usually used I don't have it all, but I used this which has been offered to me by my granny, my grandmother, الله يرحمها. And it has the casserole which comes below, and you can imagine the size of vegetables I use to cook in this shorba. As I said, it's a clay made, and the casserole below is made with the same material. It's like comes this size, small one, and it was delicious. This is what the people said when they tasted. Here is my Chourba Frik, Chourba sauce, soup, cooked, finished. And as you may know, that the presentation is very important in cooking, in restoration, anything. So it is important to be presented very well. I'm not very good in presentation, but this is how the final result of the shorba. We usually, for the people who likes vegetables like fresh herbs, etc., we add to it fresh coriander, fresh cut coriander. Remember that we cooked it with the coriander, but we add at the end when serving it the fresh coriander. We use lemon, because as you may know that any red sauce is very heavy for the stomach, so just to add that to help digestion, we add lemon or lime juice, like a teaspoon of lime juice. And you can see here I'm going to eat it with salad, just a random salad. I added anything fresh, and I had in my I had at home, just to make a salad. Usually the Chourba Frik, usually it's a rule of thumb. It can not, almost cannot, we cannot say cannot, but it's usually eaten with what we call burek. And the burek is it's rolls, something similar to, it's called burek, and it can be brick as well. So the brick is square shape, and the burek is rolled like fingers, and within we make it with spring rolls or egg rolls or brick sheet that you can find in any grocery, Turkish, Moroccan, etc. And it's similar to the samosa. Actually, it's like the same approach of the samosa. You can feel it with mince meat, like the beef or lamb meat. You can mince. You can fill it with vegetables, with shrimp, cooked with a bechamel, etc. Maybe in another tutorial I will show you how to make the burek. But yeah, shorba is eaten with burek. I don't have the burek today. I'm going to eat it with bread and my salad. So hope that you liked the tutorial. If you like it, you just click on like, and just this will motivate me to make another tutorial. So I'm not a chef. I'm just trying to promote the North African dishes, because I just it's not well known. There is plenty of YouTube videos in Algerian, in Moroccan, Tunisian, the local dialect, and this dialect is actually very tough to be understood by other cultures. Even other Arabic people cannot understand us when we talk. So I'm trying to make it to do the same thing others people has done, or it's mainly my mom dishes, the things I learned from my mom. Maybe other things I learned myself. Maybe I can just translate other things made by other ladies in Arabic or in Algerian. I will just try to make it in English. As I said, I just want to promote our culture, our dishes. This is what diversity is about. Thank you for watching. Bye.